I am excited to be here with you for a real life conversation from the porch. Normally, I come to you over the weekend, or if you're listening to this on the podcast version, you'll be hearing this here in midweek. And just to give you some context to time, but Farmer Dale and I were camping this weekend and just had a beautiful, beautiful time. We are loving our camping weekends. But I wanted to come to you live and just share a couple of reflections that I recently just wrote about. So if you're listening to this on audio through our real life conversations from the Porch podcast, or if you're watching the live Facebook, just making sure that we are doing what we need to do. So welcome to Real Life Conversations from the Porch. It is great to be with you. And today I want to dive into something that sounds kind of like a strange topic, but it's something that I noticed here about a week or 10 days ago. The little things are never really about the little things. There's always a bigger picture that something is telling you. And for me, it was my sock drawer. Crazy enough, yes, I'm talking about my sock drawer. I organized it this week and got it back in good shape again. This may not sound like a big deal, but if you would have saw it a few days ago or a week or so ago, you would have understood even why it was bothering me. Now, maybe something comes up for you immediately too around your house. But when we remodeled our bedroom a few years ago, I had built in drawers added to my walk in closet. Best thing ever. My laundry is also in my walk in closet. Best thing ever. So convenient. But one of those drawers holds my socks, the belts, and everything that I kind of reach for without even having to think. I just open the drawer. And I really, on a really good season, I like my socks paired and folded. Not because I'm like OCD about it, but because I like to find what I need without digging. So, somewhere though, strangely enough, over the last 6 to 8 months, that drawer has become a mess. And the socks separated from their pairs. There were things tossed all about without a second thought. I know sometimes we think the laundry eats the socks, and that might be true, but mine were just messy, worn out, taking up space long after they should have been thrown away, all the things. And every single time that I opened that drawer, something cringed inside of me. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you were there this morning when you got dressed or got ready. Maybe there's something in that space, that a drawer in the bathroom, in the kitchen, something. And what's interesting is the little things are really never about the little things. We think, oh, that's no big deal. It's just my sock drawer. But here's what I've come to understand: the sock drawer is not just the sock drawer, it's a signal. And it's a signal that is telling us something. And research has found that our brains are constantly scanning our environment, including things like our sock drawers, our kitchen drawers, etc. And they register, oh, that's disorder. They see that and say, that's out of order, even when we're not consciously aware of it. And that low grade irritation you feel when the mail piles up and it grows too tall, when the to go boxes stack up in the fridge, when the laundry sits in the baskets too long, that is not you being dramatic. That is actually your brain working overtime, trying to process and manage what it's seeing with its eyes. So over time, it starts to quietly shut down some of that brain activity to keep you from feeling the overwhelm. And the signals don't go away, they really just get buried underground. And the sock drawer, the garbage that's gotten out of hand, the garage that's gotten out of hand, the friend you haven't called in months, maybe the worship service or the community group that you've been meaning to get back to, but somehow it keeps not happening. Those, my friends, are not isolated inconveniences. And I was recognizing it too through my sock drawer. These are signals. They're trying in your life to get your attention. And when the things that usually feel manageable, like sock drawers and kitchen drawers in the garage, they start slipping, it's almost always a sign that there's something bigger underneath. And here's where I want to challenge us just a little bit to pay attention. What do you do with it? You pause. You bring it to the surface, you recognize it and acknowledge it. You don't ignore it, and you definitely don't shame yourself for it. That's something I always used to do. Along with tackling the sock drawer this week, I also decided to go through a pile of clothes. When we remodeled, I made a rule for myself, a habit that if something new comes in, such as in the summer season, then something old needs to go out. And that rule, that habit exists for me because stuff accumulates. It just does. It accumulates in our closets, in our schedules, in our commitments, especially in our commitments and our calendars. And if we do not take regular time to sort it out, it starts to own us instead of the other way around. So, first of all, let me say this is not about perfection. As you're listening in, it's not about perfection, it's about paying attention. It's about giving yourself permission to notice what's slipping and then do something about it. Give yourself grace, not judgment. So for me, the reset part that we do in the rule of life process that I've created, the real life process, the reset was built for times like this. And it usually comes seasonally, whether that's 3 times a year, 4 times a year. In the real life process, the modern day rule of life system that I developed years ago, we built something in. I put something in it called the 90-day reset. Now, there's nothing magical about 90 days, but it is the practice of getting up on the balcony of life, looking at the sock drawers, looking at the clutter in your calendar, and stepping back from that rush and asking what's accumulated, what needs to go, what needs to be realigned. Interestingly enough, you have to know what you want for your life so that you know what needs to go, what needs to be realigned. But we'll talk about that more later. We need this reset, though, in small ways. First, we do it weekly. I call it a weekly review. It's probably not going to be when you clean out your sock drawer, but it's going to be when you look at your calendar, look over the next couple of weeks, look at the people in your life that matter and say, when am I going to see them soon? So we need it in small ways. We need it in medium ways, which I think is quarterly, those 90-day resets, where we look at the bigger picture. We clean out some things. We say what in the next 90 days matters. And we need it in large ways. Usually I do something yearly. This is not to shame yourself. Again, as you're listening in, this is not shaming or saying I should have, but it's actually a gift we give ourselves, a chance to clean out the sock drawer of our life, so to speak, and start fresh. Grace is always the way to operate. Extend yourself lots of grace and then get back to what matters. Here's the invitation. If something in this that you're listening to today resonates with you, if you're feeling the weight of an overcommitted life or sensing that it's time for a reset, I want you to know something is coming. Listen up, because here's what's coming. This fall, we are opening up the farm. So, right behind me is some of the farm for a real life living farm experience. This is an invitation for you to come here to the farm with me, with Farmer Dale, with the beauty that is Southern Illinois in the fall. and come to a small, very intentional gathering of a few other people. Might be 5, might be 6, maybe 3 or 4. We'll see what happens. This is a place that has been in my husband, Farmer Dale's family, for over 4 generations. We're still a working grain farm, and it is just beautiful to be here. It's beautiful here today, but it's beautiful to be here in the fall. It's a chance for you to step away, breathe, do some resets that might be hard to do in the busyness of your everyday, ordinary life. The date has not been set yet, but if you would like to be the first to know, then just reply back to me through whatever social channel you heard this on, whether that's Facebook or YouTube or on our podcast. Whatever it is, you can reply back to me by email at Teresa, Teresa, at thereallifeprocess.com. We spell real life with one L. So thereallifeprocess.com. You can find it in the show notes here. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can reply back on Facebook. Wherever you're finding us and finding me, you can reply with the word farm. And I'll add you to the wait list, and I'll make sure that you know about it. Be great if you reply on a social platform, if you would private message me and give me your email so I make sure you don't miss out. The porch is open. I'm sitting on it today, and I am glad you joined me today. I do want to remind you of one other thing before I hop off today. The audiobook for Do What Matters, Live from Rust Not Rush is now available on Amazon. We'll have some other ways coming up soon, but if you would love to listen to it right away, maybe you've read the book, I read it in my voice, you can find it on Amazon. Stay tuned for more details on everything that'll be coming with the audiobook. There's a lot more in store that I can't wait to share with you. But for today, this is enough. And thank you for listening in, whether that's through YouTube, through the podcast, through this Facebook Live, through reading of our email and being on our list. I love having real life conversations with you from the porch. So, blessings from the porch, my friend. And remember that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for one. Have a blessed day.